Hi friends, Carissa Karowski here. Welcome to A Glow in the Dark. I was driving in my car, dropping off my daughter at daycare, and as I usually do, driving in the car, having thoughts to myself, I had a little bit of a revelation about some thought patterns I've been having about myself. And something I've been telling myself for a long time is that I am weak. And I was kind of thinking about this and where it might have come from. And I think something that might have started this pattern is that I come from a family culture that values strength. So my mom is a very strong woman, and growing up, looking to her as a role model, she was always very physically strong, and we had kind of this perception in our family that women women weren't weak. Women are like Amazon women. Like they can do anything a man can do, and they can lift heavy rocks, and they don't sit on the sidelines and watch men do all of the work. They help. So I kind of came from that family culture where women aren't the weak ones. Women are always strong. And my parents also had the mentality of rub some dirt in it, you're fine. Not that they didn't. Sorry for people for people listening on the podcast, my dog is sniffing at me, so that's going to show up in the video. Anyway, my parents, probably like many in their generation, they're in the baby boomer generation. Wow. And they had kind of that mentality of you're fine, it's not a big deal, rub some dirt in it and get over it. Not that they were never cruel at all. They always made sure that my sister and I had the care we needed, and I think they just come from a different time where a lot of things just weren't as big of a deal. I always joke with my mom that they let me go. It was like a whole night with a broken arm. And they were like, it's fine. We'll see how it is in the morning. And I know that wasn't totally the case. And they just wanted to make sure back then there weren't really Instacares like there are today. So I hope I'm conveying that I don't feel in any way that my parents wronged us in the way they had that mentality. But it's kind of something that I have too. So I tend to, when people get hurt, my daughter can be very sensitive about getting cuts and scratches, and I have a very hard time being sensitive about it. I want to just say, it's fine. Like, you don't need a Band-Aid, get up, move on. It's all good. And instead she needs a little bit more of that care and being like, oh, okay, let me look at it. I try not to put a Band-Aid on things because she can be obsessive about Band-Aids. But anyway, so that's kind of this family culture that I grew up with. And I realized that for whatever reason, my internal thought process about that changed to believing that I was weak if I couldn't handle things. So I've struggled with really severe exhaustion since I was probably about 16 years old, and I have tried multiple things to help it and seen multiple doctors. Anyway, it's still an ongoing problem for me. You're fine. I don't need suggestions. Thank you if you want to suggest something, but I've got my own stuff that I'm working on. So I've had this problem, and I would always think to myself, like, why can't I be a normal person? And why do so many things stress me out? And why do I get so tired so easily? And that translated into, I feel like a weakling, or I feel weak. And anytime something like that happens to me, I translate that message into I'm a weak person. And my revelation, as I mentioned at the start, was that I'm really not a weak person. And I have a lot of evidence in my life to prove that I have a lot of power. one of those things is that I know that I'm a powerful manifester and a powerful creator, even though I don't think of myself that way. But when I look for evidence that I am that way in my life, I see a lot of it. So especially when I was a teenager, basically any goal that I created for myself, I achieved. And anything that I really, really wanted in life, if I aligned myself with that purpose and had my vision board and really made it a priority, I've gotten it. So for some reason, I had this error of thinking where I'm saying to myself, you're not powerful, you're weak, you can't handle life, you can't handle all these things. And in reality, I have pushed myself far beyond my capacity. So another example where I'm finding evidence that I am powerful, even though I'm telling myself I'm not, is I've had to start going to physical therapy recently because I've had really severe foot pain for probably 5 years now. It kind of started in college. I started to notice that I'd get really bad shin splints and my knees would start to be really torn up after climbing mountains. And I always just, like I grew up doing, pushed it off, rubbed some dirt in it, and move on. And that added up over time, apparently, because my physical therapist told me that I can't walk like a normal person because my muscles are so tight. And my solution for it was I found a podiatrist a few years ago and he gave me orthotics, and he claimed that I had some sort of genetic defect, but I haven't, nobody else has said that to me, so I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so basically I'm putting all this strain on my body and I'm having all this pain, and I just do what I've always done and I push through it because I'm a strong woman. I can handle it. I don't need to get help, and I don't need to, I have this, and even though I know for other people, I would never say that you're failing if you have to take medications or if you do physical therapy. But for some reason, there's like this lingering part in myself where I'm telling myself, like, if you have to do physical therapy, like you've failed in some way, or it's because you're lame and not because you have a real problem. So this is something that I really just need to work through personally and remind myself that I'm slowing down. My body is slowing me down because I've pushed through so many of these problems. And because I haven't taken the time to work on it or heal it or whatever it may be. And that's because I've pushed myself to power through it instead of take the time. So it really revealed to me that I am powerful, and that these things aren't happening because I'm weak. They're happening because I've pushed myself for way too long, and way too many years. And another example where I found this in myself is, I think just with the exhaustion, I think that's just another byproduct of me pushing myself too hard for so many years and overextending all of the activities that I want to do. It kind of just added up, and for like with my mental health, instead of, forgive me, I'm trying to think through this for a second. So like in college, instead of getting the help that I needed, I took a couple therapy sessions and pushed through it. And then when I was graduating from college and I started a new job, I couldn't work full time because my mental health was so bad. But instead of going to a treatment facility or doing something more intensive, I again just stuck it through, pushed through it, did what I could, and told myself that I was a horrible human being because I couldn't handle life and I was lazy and I sucked and all that stupid crap that is just not real. And then when I had my baby, I should have gone to treatment, and I didn't do that either. I pushed myself again and got through it and pushed myself through it, barely alive at the end of it. And Anyway, I know that this probably seems like a ramble, but my thought process in thinking through all of these things is that I'm finding more and more evidence that I have a lot of power as a human being. And the reason I experience exhaustion and I'm struggling with issues is because I pushed myself way too hard. And I never took the time to really heal from some of the issues that I've experienced. And I never really allowed myself to believe that I needed to take time, because I always felt like, okay, well, a normal person, quote, normal person, or a real person that I compared myself to, whoever it may be, would be able to handle all this. And they'd be able to do this, and they'd be able to do that, and blah, 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 blah. So I think this is a problem for most people, where we compare ourselves to other people. And then we also, in addition to comparing ourselves to others, which we all know doesn't do any good, and it creates problems, and it's not really a good thing to compare to. We also compare ourselves to our ideal of who we should be. And instead of looking at where we are actually at, I think some of us have the tendency to look at where we want to be or where we should be and criticize for not being there, or put ourselves down for needing to be a little bit slower or needing more support than where that ideal person should be. So to wrap all of this up, I think my realization from this thought process is that not just me, but probably you and maybe other people you know have this tendency to tell ourselves that we're not capable of things, and that we are weak, or we're not strong enough, or we have all of these issues and we're not normal, and why can't we do as many things as Joanna Gaines can do, and all of these other things we tell ourselves. I know I always say Joanna Gaines because in my mind she's almost as perfect as you can get. So that's one of those silly thought processes in my head. I'm like, why can't I be like Joanna Gaines? Why can't I run a farm and have 5 children and still look pretty and all these things? That's an error in thinking, people. That's one of those comparisons that does you no good, and you just never know, never ever ever, you never ever know what it's like in someone else's head, and you never ever know how their body feels and what challenges they go through. So it's time to kind of turn around this thinking that you aren't a powerful being and realize that you are a powerful being. You have overcome way more in your life than you realize. If you've experienced a mental health issue and are still alive or still overcoming it, you are so freaking powerful. Maybe you don't even realize the energy that it has taken you to be where you are, to be standing in your shoes in your life. Maybe you don't even realize how amazing that is, because it's fucking amazing, okay? It has taken you so much work to be standing where you're standing right now. So it's time to appreciate that, and it's time to think about it. And instead of dwelling on the things that you feel weak about or you feel powerless, start turning that around and realizing how much power you do have and how far you have come in your life. That's it for today, friends. Thank you so much for listening. If you made it through, it was one of my longer videos, and I appreciate you so much. Be sure to subscribe if you like this channel. Check us out on the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, we are on Google Podcasts, and there's a couple other, I don't think I'm on iTunes yet, but pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, you should be able to find us. If you're listening on the podcast, we do sometimes post videos on YouTube, if that's a little bit more your style. I'm not super interesting to watch. It's just me talking. So, you just see me talking. But sometimes people like that a little bit better than just listening. So Anyway, please subscribe if you like this channel, share with your friends, and as always, we appreciate you checking out A Glow in the Dark, and we'll catch you next time.